Well, welcome back. We're now going to look at chapter 3. We just finished in the last session. We finished chapter 2, where Ruth went out to seek about gleaning and getting food, the necessary elements that she needed to live in her new land, that she came back with Naomi. And now we're going to look to the next chapter, where Ruth begins to understand more of her position within the new community. And this really comes from the hand of Naomi, as Naomi understands who Boaz is. So let's take a look here now in chapter 3. And I have here at the beginning a beautiful picture of a threshing floor. And we think about today, we do harvesting of grain through a machine. It's mechanized. But in the ancient Near East, they looked for a natural outcropping of rock where to go and take their grain and put it there so they could actually beat it upon that hard surface, or have animals walk over it and break off the grain from the stalks. And then this beautiful area on the hilltop also would be a place for air and breezes. And this is important for the winnowing process that we'll take a look at here in a bit. But you need a breeze. You throw the grain up and you want to get rid of that chaff and stuff you would just cough it up if you ate it. So you don't want to eat that stuff, you want it to go away. So let the wind blow that away. So here you have several bundles of grain that's waiting to be threshed. And then you also have what's left here of some that's already been threshed and been thrown up, and the chaff has been blown away. So here's a great picture of that. Because the main scene that we're going to see here in chapter 3 takes place at the threshing floor. So let's enter this passage. Ruth chapter 3, verses 1 through 5. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter," again, this term of endearment and relationship, "My daughter, should I not seek rest for you, that it may be well with you?" Think about this, how faithful Ruth has been to Naomi. And she's also now thinking about where's Ruth's future? Okay, Ruth, this young lady, she's lost her husband, but she's in the years of childbearing. I'd really like you to find rest in the home of a husband where you can find security there. So verse 2, "Is not Boaz our relative, with whose young women you were? See, he's winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor." Maybe he's trying to start out thinking about being a matchmaker. Okay, so let me tell you something here, Ruth. You've been this industrious woman. You've taken care of me. You're all work, 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 work. But tonight I want you to do something. Wash yourself. Wash, therefore, and anoint yourself with oil. Put on your cloak and go down to the threshing floor, but do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. So dress up, put on your best clothes, get clean, and go down to meet this possible husband. But when he lies down, observe the place where he lies, then go and uncover his feet and lie down. That's an interesting thing to say, uncover his feet. It's the kind of thing that I would think in today's culture, that's not a happy thing, right? I'm cold, I don't want someone uncovering my feet. But we'll talk about that in a second. "And he will tell you what to do." And she replied, "All that you say, all right, I'll do that." So here's a picture of grain being winnowed at the barrier. Here's an older gentleman that's throwing it up, and you see the wind catching it, catching the chaff and blowing it away, and the kernels will come right back down. But as you throw it up with the winnowing fork, the chaff will blow away. It's a nice way to separate the bad stuff from the good stuff. So, verse 6 summarizes Ruth's response to Naomi's request of what to do. "So she went down to the threshing floor and did just as her mother-in-law commanded." Notice that. Followed her to a T. I'll do exactly what you did, what you said to do. "And then when Boaz had eaten and drunk and his heart was merry," it's the end of the day, I've worked all day, you just want to go and crash, okay? Get a good meal and go to sleep. "He went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain." That's a good place to by the way, to stay. Just remember, you're in the period of the judges. Someone can come at night, take all that work that you've done, steal the grain, take it away. So he's staying out there on the grain threshing floor to secure it. So then she came softly and uncovered his feet. Interesting here, right? And then she lays down. But then at midnight, I was wondering why did it take that long? But at midnight, the man was startled. You're like, wait, I'm cold. What's going on here? And he turns over, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. Again, this is introducing you to, like, inviting you, like, come into the story, like, experience it from Boaz's perspective. Like, he's sleeping there next to his grain and wakes up, and, like, it's kind of bit cold. And you're like, there's a woman here. What's this? He's startled by this. That's not normal. And he said to her, who are you? And she answered, I am Ruth, your servant. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer. It's like, oh, what's going on here? Like, my feet are uncovered, I've been cold, and I'm asking, who is this person here? And it's a woman, and her name is Ruth. I know her, and she says she's my servant. Spread your wings over your servant, for your redeemer. What is she asking? It's really a marriage proposal, is what's going on here. So she identifies herself to Boaz as a amah now. Before, she was just a servant with no rights. This is a servant with a higher status. She has rights. There's things that are owed to her. Point being, you have an obligation to me. I'm in your family. My husband died. She's asking for him to take care of her. How? Marry her and bring her into his family and take care of her. So this is what she is proposing. Now, one thing just to comment, because if you look in the commentaries, if you look out there, you may run into this. There's a view that what is going on here at this nocturnal meeting? Again, there's something going on there with uncovering the feet, and then just the whole thing is an interesting unpacking of what's going on. Some have said that uncovering the feet is a euphemism for sex, but note how the narrator is presenting both Ruth and Boaz. These two people are pure individuals. They're good, they're godly. And so I think that's a misreading of the text to say that. In fact, what you'll notice is in the next couple of verses, you're going to see that Boaz is concerned that there's a woman here at night. And he doesn't want this to be known because he's concerned about how that appears and to be uppity up. So it's not, I don't think there's any of that being done here. This is just simply a request to marry her, to take her under his wing. In other words, cover her as a symbolic act of, I'm taking care of you, right? You're in a vulnerable situation. I'm going to cover you and take you as my own. So his response to this is, wow, he's amazed. And he wakes up in the middle of the night and here's this woman. That is a good woman, right? And he says to her, may you be blessed by the Lord. There again, invoking God's name. Wow, Yahweh, may you be blessed by Yahweh, my daughter. You have made this last kindness greater than the first, in that you have not gone after young men, whether rich or poor. It shows this, here's that word again, chesed, okay, covenant loyalty. Now we're talking about what loyalty, what covenant loyalty is Ruth showing here? To her covenant loyalty that she said to Naomi in chapter 1. Do you remember? I will be with you wherever you go. And she's like, may God do so more to me, and more so if I don't follow through with this, right? So this great loyalty. And Boaz is like, wow, you're acting in the family's interest. Your husband's dead. You're free, but you're thinking bigger picture than just you. It isn't just about me. It's about taking care of the family's interests. That's what he's getting at here. So the loyalty that she's showing is, he's just amazed that she would do that. And we get from here the idea that he must be someone of an older age, okay? Because this whole point, well, you could get someone younger. Why come after me? And the idea is, again, because of the family interest. And she's putting the family above herself. So, again, important theme to see that about how she's acting about that. This is a great lesson to think about in our culture today, where we're so much thinking about me, right? The importance of thinking about others, but then also remaining faithful to your covenants, your commitments you've made. Our culture, when you just want to say, here today I'll make this, but tomorrow you can't trust that. That's a sad thing that we have in our current culture. In the past, I think my grandfather, I've talked to him in the past. He was born in 1893, and I had the privilege of knowing him for 10 years of my life. That's a different era, a really different era. But I grew up in that kind of a context. And with him, he was a man of his word. Whenever he promised something, you could count on it. It meant something. Today, it's like, well, I failed. Sorry about that. But the people of the older generation, your word was important. The character of an individual was based on, can I trust you or not? So here, Ruth is being presented as this person that's faithful. And now, my daughter, verse 11, and now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you ask. For all my fellow townsmen know what? This is her reputation again. They know that you are a worthy woman. What a great reputation to have. You're this woman that is respectable and honorable. So, yes, I will definitely do this for you. And here's what's interesting. Boaz describes Ruth as a eshet chayil, which is a virtuous woman. This is the same phrase used in Proverbs 31. Okay? With the question there, who can find such a woman? Right? And the idea is, it's very hard to find somebody of this character, right? And not just picking on women. This is also for men too, right? Who can find a virtuous male? But here the question is, who can find this woman? Well, Ruth. Ruth fits it. And Boaz describes her that way. Now, this is important back. If you remember in the earlier session, when we talked about the canonical placement of the book of Ruth, in our Protestant Bibles, it follows Judges because it's in that time period, right? It naturally fits there in the time when the judges judged. But in many Hebrew canonical collections, Ruth actually follows Proverbs. So think about this as a Hebrew reader. You're reading through Proverbs, come to the last chapter. Who can find this virtuous woman? Turn the page. There she is, Ruth. And she's not an Israelite. Wow. Right? Think about that. She's not an Israelite. She's a Moabite. But this woman, Ruth, fits this description to a T. Continuing on with Boaz's response. And now it is true that I am a redeemer. That's true. I am in that position. However, there is a redeemer that's nearer than I. And you see here, Boaz really wants to fulfill this, but he also knows what's right. He has to give first dibs to another individual who is before him. So remain tonight, and in the morning, if he will redeem you, good. You're being taken care of. Your needs are going to be met. Let him do it. But if he is not willing to redeem you, then as the Lord lives, here's another one of these oaths, by God's name again, I will do it. I'm going to make sure that I will follow through on this. I will redeem you. Lie down until the morning. Now, why does he not send her away? It's not safe, okay, to be out there at night. So stay here until the morning. At dawn, go home. But not out here tonight. That would be not safe. So again, he's caring for her safety, her well-being. But he wants to address this situation. So she lay at his feet until morning, but arose before one could recognize another. And he said, let it not be known. Here's that phrase I alluded to earlier. Let it not be known that a woman came to the threshing floor. Okay? Propriety here. Let's not have a bad reputation here or for gossip, because nothing bad happened. And he said, but bring the garment you're wearing and hold it out. So she held it out, and he measured out 6 measures of barley and put it on her. And then she went back into the city. So again, he's taking care of her. Like, here's more food. Take it, go. And he's going to take care of this that day. So then she came to her mother-in-law and said, and when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, how did you fare, my daughter? Like, how did the date go? It wasn't a date, but then she told her all that the man had done for her, saying, these 6 measures of barley he gave to me. For he said to me, you must not go back empty-handed to your mother-in-law. You can't go back like that. She replied, wait, my daughter, until you learn how the matter turns out. For the man will not rest, but will settle the matter today. Okay? Because, again, we're getting to know who Boaz is here. He's not going, well, I'll put that on the back burner, right? He's going to address this as soon as he can. Because the character that he's in. He's interested in taking care of this matter and addressing her needs. But again, note how she describes his actions whenever the mother-in-law asks, well, how'd it go? Well, look, he provided this. He sent me back home with this. There's more food. He's preparing for us. He's providing for us. It's great. So Ruth is going back to check that out. So this is how chapter 3 ends. And now the tension, we're left with this tension. I mean, like, oh, wow, it's building towards, we see God working in Ruth's life. We see him working and providing for Naomi. And it looks like, oh, everything's headed to this direction of, wow, they're going to get together. But now we're in this tension like, well, wait a minute, there's somebody else that's closer. Oh, what's going to happen, right? So that's how the tension is left here at the end of this chapter. So this will conclude our discussion on chapter 3. And the next session will be our last on chapter 4.